Hello everybody, my name's James, and for the benefit of those listening on the audio, you're listening to my regular YouTube live stream, which hasn't been very regular recently because of all the football, called Ask James, where I welcome questions from the YouTube community on anything football related. To timestamp this, it's just gone 3 p.m. UK time on Christmas Eve, and may I wish all our listeners and all our YouTube viewers a very Merry Christmas and an early Happy New Year. The main news going into the weekend's Game Week 19, which now has a new UK deadline of 1:30 p.m. UK, is we currently have 3 games postponed. We knew of Liverpool v Leeds and Wolves versus Watford being postponed yesterday. We've also had confirmation today of a postponement between Burnley and Everton. 3 more blanks for Game Week 19, and there may yet be more to come. Right, let's get into the questions. Milan the Villain says, "Hi James, non-FPL question. Simon Jordan, ex-Crystal Palace owner, today's statement speaks volumes about how football executives perceive players and coaches. Do you think Premier League players should go on strike?" To be honest, I only literally saw what he said on TalkSport around about 10 minutes ago. Jordan's of the opinion that players get paid enough money and therefore they should crack on and play. I do think Premier League players are right to be concerned for their welfare at the moment. I think there's quite a widespread opinion that perhaps there shouldn't be any football going on at the moment. If they halted the season right now, I would completely understand the reasoning behind it. I think it's fairly disgraceful that many teams are having to play twice in 3 days. I mean, take Arsenal. Those who listen to me regularly know I've got no love for them, right? I hate them. But I think it's disgraceful that they're playing 3 p.m. on Sunday and then 12:30 p.m. on Tuesday. That's not right. There's no world where that should be right, where a team completes 2 games of football inside 48 hours. That can't be right. And it's not right for anybody to be playing Sunday and Tuesday, even in the case where, let's say, Liverpool were meant to be the early kick-off on Sunday, which is obviously now off, and then 8 p.m. on Tuesday. That's still not right. So I understand complaints at the moment. Obviously, there were a number of Premier League executives. This isn't everyone, right? That's how Simon Jordan feels. But it's not how everyone feels. There were a number of Premier League chairmen who I know were pushing for Game Week 20's fixtures to be postponed in its entirety. So we can't label that Simon Jordan, as an ex-chairman, kind of classifies how all owners feel about players. I don't think that's right. Plus, not being funny, it's something that's said on Talk Shite, and therefore a lot of the stuff is said for ratings, right? Mohammed Cameras says, "Hello James, hope you're well. Looking forward to the stream. What a chaos to deal with in a couple of days. Best of luck." Thank you, mate, and to you. Owen Walsh says, "Happy Christmas, James. Hope the big man sorts out Harry. Cheers for all the super content." Big man sorting out Harry. What are we talking about? Eric Dyer playing long balls over the top for Harry Kane? No, I know Owen is referring to my son getting presents for Christmas. Don't worry, he'll be well looked after. Ash says 8 playing players plus Armstrong. I'm believe that's Adam Armstrong at 75%. Salah and Armstrong to Son and Ronaldo, -4 or 3 here. Yeah, -4. To be honest, my opinion before Game Week 18 was that those with 5 or less players were the only ones that should be considering taking a free hit, particularly under the circumstance we couldn't guarantee that there wouldn't be more games postponed. When deadline comes around on Sunday, if all 7 games are still on, can we guarantee that Newcastle and Manchester United will go ahead on the Monday? Can we guarantee that Brighton and Brentford will go ahead at 8 o'clock on that evening? No, so I think it's a similar case. I think really only those with 5 or less available players should be considering free hit. I'm down to 9 currently, which is not the worst position to be in. Although I do have treble United and treble Watford, so it's leaving me plenty bare. Treble Liverpool. Well, most have got treble Liverpool, I understand. Any more postponements, and I'm probably going to be down to 7 or so. At 7, I'm not free hitting. No way. It's at -4 or -8. 6, no, can't see it. Same thing. At 5, were I to lose, say, Norwich and Arsenal and Villa and Chelsea, and that leaves me with 5 players, then yeah, potentially becomes a consideration to use the chip. But generally speaking, 5 or less, or no, crack on. Take a hit or 2. Milanda Villan also says, happy holidays to yourself and Sturgeon and the families. Thanks for the majestic content throughout the year. Cheers from Canada. Very welcome, mate. Thank you so much. Dan L says, hi James, have 5 players out. Thinking very heavily about using my free hit. Anyway, have a wonderful Christmas. It's just summed up, Dan. Those are my feelings at the moment. There's nothing to say that I won't use it come Sunday morning. But I think I need to be down to that 5 players. Romanthan says, Merry Christmas to you and loved one, James. No questions because it's going to be just 15 minutes before deadline moves. Cheers. And of course, Romanthan's right. Not everybody will be able to wait until Sunday lunchtime UK time to make transfers, but that's what everybody should be doing. I was looking at a potential -8 last night of selling Salah, and I'm definitely going to sell Mo Salah, I should think, unless obviously I end up free hitting. I was looking at selling Salah, Dennis, and King for Son, Kane, and Breuer from -8, and I've got the exact money to do it, and I won't be able to make those moves to come Sunday if that's what I want to do. Let it go. It's not worth it. It's not worth it. What I'm looking to do, if the situation stays the same, Salah and Dennis will definitely go. Salah will be Son, I'm fairly sure. Dennis will either be Ronaldo or Breuer. Now I realise that's completely different ends of the spectrum now, but it depends a little bit on affordability potentially, and if any other games go off. I think like if Villa Chelsea went off, I'd sell Reece James. Then it's Son, Ronaldo plus a defender. Otherwise, it might just be Son and Breuer from -4. Hold the money, then another -4 in midweek before game week 20, which would then allow me to get to Ronaldo. It's the current thinking, but I mean, I'm really not overthinking it at this stage. 2 days to go yet. Nasser says, hey mate, you think if Arsenal game is called off, it's worth using free hit? Currently have triple Arsenal in free hit draft. Don't find many appealing fixtures this game week, and that's a really key important point as well. So not a huge amount of many appealing fixtures. I think that there are some. Tottenham at home to Palace, West Ham at home to Southampton, obviously Arsenal at Norwich. You could take your pick between Brighton and Brentford against each other, Manchester City against Leicester, and obviously United at Newcastle. So there are teams to choose from for sure, but there's also potential for rotation. You could pick 3 Man City players, who might all get left out. So yeah, I think, as I said, 5 players or less, otherwise free hits no consideration for me. I'm not bothered if I've got 8 players, 7, 8 players on Sunday, if that's the case, if there's only 5 games left or so. Shavran says, hey James, Merry Christmas. No coincidence that the London-based clubs seem to be the worst affected by COVID. Hope you're safe and sound. I must thank a large number of my patrons who know that yesterday I was not feeling well at all. I had my booster jab on Tuesday night and it knocked me for 6 a little bit, but I am feeling 10 times better today. To be honest, feel like normal again now. I feel absolutely fine. Ash says, which other games are most likely to go? What about 28th? What's likely to go? It's very unpredictable, isn't it? We know there's COVID cases now at Crystal Palace as well, so there must be a small doubt about the Tottenham fixture at the weekend, although I think the Premier League would be loath to call that off, as that will put Tottenham in the same position of Burnley of having 4 games postponed, which is a little bit more awkward because Tottenham are still in the Carabao Cup. But the rest is a guessing game, isn't it? We know there's issues with Norwich, but games have gone ahead. Villa Chelsea have both had their issues. Is there question marks over that? We think Brighton are probably in a better place now. Brighton Brentford looks safe, but is it? No idea. In relation to the games in game week 20, the Premier League said yesterday that they thought Watford and West Ham would go ahead in game week 20, but they didn't say anything about Leeds and Aston Villa. So I think we can probably presume Leeds and Aston Villa in game week 20 will probably be postponed. But beyond that, again, it's a guessing game, isn't it? You got teams going to play each other. Arguably, the teams that play in game week 19 are more likely to have games postponed in game week 20 because of the risk of them spreading it with each other on Sunday. So completely unpredictable, isn't it? Sriram says, morning, good sir. Wishing you a Merry Christmas. Wishing you 100 hauls and pigs in blankets. I don't know about 100 hauls, but certainly pigs in blankets will be on the menu tomorrow. That's a certainty. Eshen Gosh says, Christmas greetings, James. Hope you're well. What would you advise to people who have their first wildcard? Thoughts on bench boost in 22 and players to wildcard into? I am not keen on the game week 22 bench boost idea. And there's a very simple reason why. So game week 22 is going to fall into the midweek now, which is going to be played between Tuesday the 18th of January and Thursday the 20th of January. Do you think this whole COVID problem is going to be sorted by then? I don't. Do we think we're in a position there where, say, there's 15 fixtures in game week 22? You think they're all going to go ahead? Nah. I had this last year with the bench boost when Leeds Southampton got called off, right? And bench boosted into a Leeds double, which turned out to be a 1-0 defeat for Leeds at home to Brighton and no game against Southampton when their double looked amazing. So, no, I really wouldn't be comfortable about using the bench boost in game week 22. Do you know what? There's every chance it's going to be the biggest and best looking game week for that, but there will be other opportunities. I also think, by the way, that game week 21 could be just as big as game week 22. The Carabao Cup dates were confirmed today. So both Tuesdays are free. This says 2 Tuesdays free in game week 21 because remember there's 2 midweeks between 21 and 22. So the teams very conceivably could have treble game week as early as game week 21. Game week 22 is obviously the dates are all open Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. And what I mean by the dates being open means they don't clash with TV coverage. So those who are from BT and Sky still are holding and want to show the games that they had previously selected. Ideally, neither Sky or BT will want them clashing with the Carabao Cup semi-finals. But then, for example, you could in theory put Brentford against Manchester United against Brighton now on Tuesday, January the 4th in game week 21. And Brentford United could go on the Tuesday the following week on Tuesday, January 11th, and suddenly you've got a Manchester United treble game week. That sort of thing can happen. There's no guarantee that Manchester United will double in 22. I think obviously the closer we get, the less likely there are to be games organised for Tuesday, January the 4th. Certain fixtures where you don't need to worry so much about the travel, I think like Watford versus Crystal Palace, for example, they could throw that on Tuesday, January the 4th without too much impact on both sets of fans. So it's so up in the air. But that bench boost 22, the more I think about it, the more I just think, what's the chance of every game going ahead? And with a bench boost, that's what you want, isn't it? So I still think for me, bench boost is probably most likely going to be game week 36 or game week 37, which game week 37 people don't speak about as much. But it's the midweek of the Europa League final. So again, UEFA are not going to want Premier League games on that night. There's nothing to say there can't be Premier League games on the Tuesday and the Thursday, the night before and the night after the Europa League final. There's nothing to say that they couldn't do what they did in 2017 when Chelsea and Watford had weekend games moved back to the Friday so they could play each other on the Monday. So they had a double of Friday and Monday. Nothing to say that can't happen. So a lot of these fixtures, I know obviously the Premier League will be keen to get fixtures rearranged, but for the clubs not in Europe, I don't know how much of a rush there is. Game week 22, in theory, could have around about 14 teams have doubles, but it might only be about 8. And then how big is it? So it's up to the Premier League, and unless someone's in the walls and has got the information to tell me what they're planning with the fixtures, I'm not 100% certain what they're going to do. But bench boost game week 22 at the moment feels too dangerous for me. If it's an amazing double game week and I'm not well set for it, then free hit. That's what the second chip is for as far as I'm concerned. Dan L says, forgot to say, I hope you're feeling better after the boost and not you sideways. I am. Thank you, Dan. Honestly, I'm feeling so much better today. Thank you. Brian McKenna, Merry Christmas. For those of us still with first wildcard, which players' teams would you be targeting? I'm sorry, Eshan asked about first wildcard as well. Went over my head. You'd be going into the teams that have got rearranged games. But now, the only 2 teams who haven't got a game to rearrange are Newcastle and Manchester City. Liverpool, in the space of the last 48 hours, have gone from no games to rearrange to 2 games rearrange against Leeds and Arsenal, respectively. So, there'd be a case to say, no Manchester City players. Obviously, you're not going to go with anybody who could go to the African Cup of Nations. Those with the kind of more secure double game weeks are worth looking at. So, because Burnley have got 4 games to rearrange, that puts them near the top of the list. Leicester, because their involvement in the Europa Conference League, I think they're the biggest priority of all. Because remember, the Champions League teams, the last 16 is spread over 4 midweeks. So in theory, Chelsea's postponed games against Arsenal and Brighton could fall respectively into, I think for Chelsea it's game week 25 and game week 28. And I want to say for Manchester United, it's possibly game week 26 and game week 29, for example. That I might have that slightly the wrong way round. But there's not the urgency as there is. If Leicester were to go all the way to the Europa Conference final, and obviously do well in the FA Cup. There's not many dates for them. So Leicester would be a priority. But then Jamie Vardy's the outstanding asset. Is he going to play, if they've got back-to-back doubles, is he going to play 4 games? Don't think so. Maddison, Harvey Barnes, are they of real interest? I'm not convinced. It's just really difficult to say. You're wildcarding into the unknown, but I would do it in 20 rather than 19, personally. Just purely because you might get some fixture information on Monday. I think we have to assume at this stage on the Friday, we're probably, he says, who knows, maybe we will. We're probably not going to get any fixture announcements today, although Premier League have dropped television selections in the past on a Friday, so we can't rule it as completely unlikely. But yeah, if you were in two minds about using it on Sunday or using it next Tuesday, I would use it on the Tuesday, because you may get information that's quite important on Monday. In terms of who to target, it's personal preference. The obvious ones, I mean, I would still, even with no doubles, I'd still want Cancelo, to be honest. I'd still want Trent and Jota. I'd want something of Tottenham because of the 3 games to be rearranged. Although we know that there's not going to be a double for them in game week 21, as long as the Carabao Cup semi-finals do stay over 2 legs, which the dates have been confirmed, so we have to presume that's going to be the case now. Otherwise, it's what you fancy. Remember, the wildcard's not just for Christmas as well, right? Are you going to be happy with the team beyond what the potential doubles are? So I still think, in most cases, you should still pick the kind of team that you want. Everybody bar Manchester City and Newcastle has games to rearrange. Theodore says, Merry Christmas, James. What do you think about Dele Alli as a good cheap way into the Spurs attack with good fiction and a double to come? No, absolutely no chance, mate. He's not first choice. I know he played against Liverpool, but he's not first choice. Should Tottenham revert to the 5-3-2 that you saw against Liverpool, which they may do, then there's more chance of Dele Alli playing minutes. But as an FPL asset, absolutely no chance. Please, Dele, score on Sunday and prove me wrong. Anthony Nogito says, if you can field 9 players with a -8, do you think it is worth it, or is that free hit territory? Thanks for everything. Said, mate, that's hit territory, mate. It's not free hit territory as far as I'm concerned. Rob Pick said, heard you say a lot not rushing rearrangements, which is entirely logical, but is one of the biggest reasons to arrange now the fact that there could be more fixtures that go over January and February? Yeah, of course. But the fixtures that get rearranged, as kind of said with the bench boost idea of game week 22, they could be postponed, right? So there are certain cases, like I think Leicester is prime example. Leicester have got to have games rearranged. They've got to. But in most other cases, it's not as essential or desperate as it looks. It's not. West Ham have got only 1 to rearrange at the moment, and I think we could probably safely assume that West Ham and Norwich will go into game week 22, which would give what I described on Clash of the Correspondents as a wet dream double for West Ham of Leeds and Norwich at home. But the rest, I don't know, Rob. Aren't we all guessing, really? We're all guessing. We're all assuming. For the teams not in Europe, those games could go in game week 30, whatever. Plus, it's not beyond question that what I've suspected is we might go behind closed doors in January. And do the clubs want to rearrange games that are then going to lose out on gate receipts? I mean, would Tottenham, if Tottenham and Palace was off at the weekend, do Tottenham and Palace want to rearrange the game behind closed doors? It's going to cost them about £5 million if they do that. Wouldn't they be better off waiting until later in the season? And I think the clubs will have some sort of say, unless it's absolutely crucial that games are rearranged. And that really is only for the European clubs. So I do think, Rob, in all honesty, I think we probably will have about 12 teams doubling in game week 22. I think we'll have some in game week 21 as well. I would be surprised that it's fairly certain that game week 22 is going to be used now the FA Cup third round replays have been called off. But it's to open up the space primarily for the clubs in Europe. We can expect, I think, Liverpool, Manchester United, Chelsea and Leicester all likely to play in game week 22. And I think West Ham, Norwich as well, because West Ham are still in Europa League. Even in West Ham's case, West Ham have automatically qualified for the last 16. So they could use the dates in February that's scheduled for the playoff round of the Europa League and play Norwich then. It's not a game that's selected for TV. It could be at any time. So I don't know, Rob. I don't have the answers, my friend. The Spicy Turtle FIFA 22 content says, Merry Christmas, James. 2 questions for you. What's your favourite Boxing Day memory? And do you have any Christmas traditions you and your family always do? Yeah, go and watch Tottenham on Boxing Day, ideally. Favourite one? Um, Difficult because invariably they're not big games. Boxing Day originally was always for derbies. You know, Tottenham and Arsenal used to regularly be on Boxing Day before I started going. So now we tend to play, let's say, less hostile London clubs like Palace, Fulham. We've had a number of games against Southampton on Boxing Day. That was a good Boxing Day when Kane scored a hat-trick against Southampton at Wembley to break the most goals in a calendar year. That was a really good day. Other than that, no. I'm trying to think of a good away day I've had on Boxing Day. I feel like I remember getting beat at Southampton. Shit. So we seem to play Southampton a lot on Boxing Day. So I don't think any of them really stand out massively. And they also get blurred a little bit. I'm thinking about a 5-1 win against Fulham one year, and I'm now questioning if that was Boxing Day or if that was like the 28th or the 29th of December. I can't remember. Ollie Blake says, hi James, have a nice Christmas. Do you think Son or Ronaldo is the better captain pick this game week? Might be João Cancelo. I've really not decided, actually. I don't think any of those two mentioned players you name are absolutely essential. I don't think that's the case. I think it's good for the game that there's debate about it this weekend. I think João Cancelo is very worthy of being in the conversation. Although I do note, since we recorded our Patreon podcast this morning, it does look like Kyle Walker might be available again for Manchester City, which could throw a little bit of doubt. But City do have 3 days space in between games. I think Ronaldo against Newcastle is probably slightly the standout, personally. But I think they're both reasonable choices, and I think it's close. Son has a very good historical record against Palace. Noel Gallagher says, is it Gundogan and Bernardo, keep one, sell one? Keep Bernardo, sell Gundogan. That's where I'd be at with that at the moment. But it's possibly a little bit dependent on value of player you bought. We try not to let this influence our decision making, but it does, right? So if you're 0.4 up on Gundogan, Bernardo, and 0.1 up on Gundogan, that is ultimately probably going to have an impact on your decision. Joey B93G says, Merry Christmas, mate. Please talk me out using the free hit. Well, I think I probably already have, Joey, at this stage. Adam says, what to do with Kyle Walker? There we go. Got 10 other playing players and use my free transfer. Got James, Cancelo, Trent and Gahey. Thinking of going to Reggie. Mark Gahey might miss out for Crystal Palace on Sunday. Kyle Walker, as I just said, I think he could be back involved for City this weekend. Seems to be the word. I know the official site, I've not seen anything, but the official site updated him to available this afternoon. So I think in that case, he's a keep at the moment, isn't he? I would more be looking at selling players who are definitely unavailable for you. Thank you, Noel Gallagher. Happy Christmas to you too. Garlic25 this afternoon, James. On a scale of 1 to 10, how sick of me are you of me asking you questions in DM? Have a good Christmas. Hope you're feeling better. About 4 or 5, Jack. The earlier in the week it is, the more sick of it I am. Especially weeks like this. Just forget about this shit till Sunday, honestly. Kieran OS says, Merry Christmas, mate. Is it me or do stairs make farts more satisfying? I think it's you, Kieran. Adam says, score predictions for this week, mate, since not on screen today. They will be on the screen on Sunday. I'll run through them quickly for you. Arsenal to win 2-1 at Norwich. Chelsea to win 1-0 at Villa. Brighton to beat Brentford 1-0. City to beat Leicester 3-0. United to win 2-1 at Newcastle. West Ham to beat Southampton 3-1. Tottenham beat Palace 2-1. There you go. Craig Davis says, would you take Salah out for Ronaldo and Bowen? Yes. I think the thing with Mo is credit to Mo that, I mean, he's obviously an incredible player, best FPL asset by miles this season. It's credit to Mo that I think if it was anybody else, he would be in automatic sell mode. If this was Ronaldo looking at blank Leicester away, Chelsea away, blank, and the second blank could easily become double, then we'd definitely be selling any other player under that circumstance. There are players who you can compete against with Mo Salah for the next couple of weeks anyway. Now, a rested Liverpool at Leicester, I think, will probably mean that Mo Salah is still the best choice. in game week 20, but there are definitely alternatives. Manchester City go to Brentford, Tottenham go to Southampton, so you're looking at like the son of Cancelo. There are, of course, players you can compete against Salah with from within Liverpool. My intention right now in game week 20 would be to captain Trent Alexander-Arnold away to Leicester. Remember that big Christmas haul at the King Power a couple of years ago? Diogo Jota, very reasonable. I think Jota I'd seen has had better statistics than Salah over the last 4 game weeks. So there are players that you can compete against. Game week 21, the fixtures aren't brilliant, but Salah goes to Chelsea, City go to Arsenal, Tottenham go to Watford. Those who might still have Rafinha knocking about, if they're available by then, Leeds at home to Burnley. Got the likes of Ollie Watkins, perhaps even at Brentford. West Ham at Crystal Palace. There are Jared Bowen if he picks up form. Leicester at home to Norwich. And teams may well be looking at Leicester, again, if those doubles fall, right? So game week 21, look at now going Salah away to Chelsea. Oh, yeah, he's a perma captain. It might be someone... Tell me honestly, if Mo Salah... In fact, don't tell me, but something to think about. If Mo Salah has Chelsea away and Nick Pope has a treble game week of, let's say, Leeds away, Everton at home and Watford at home, who you captain him? So the game could change very quickly. So Mo Salah might be the best captaincy in game week 20. But of the next 4 game weeks, and it's obviously 5 because he's going to miss Crystal Palace away in game week 23, he's only the best captaincy option in 1. And you can make a case that in the 1 that he's not. So it's a sell for me. It's a sell. That's where I'm at with it. So in answer to your question, Craig, yeah, I'd move him on. Nasser Kamali says, why did the clubs vote to keep playing if the squads are suffering from high infections? Not all the clubs did, it's worth saying, and we don't have the information of who did and who didn't. I think it's fairly common knowledge that Liverpool wanted game week 20 called off. Ironically, that would have left them then with no game for 10 days or so. But the majority obviously went with it. Perhaps it's fear that get the games on and get the gate receipts before potential closure of football in terms of it being behind closed doors in January, which I'm a little bit fearful of could happen. I think it's one of the reasons where we may not get any kind of rushed announcement on fixtures for game week 21 and game week 22. So we can't put them all in the same place. Bivik says Breuer and Son for Salah and Dennis, and have Ronaldo next week, or have 7.2 any mid Ronaldo. Well, it's kind of, as I mentioned earlier, Bivik, it's sort of kind of decisions that I'm debating, and I haven't made my decision, so it'd be wrong for me to kind of advise you on what sounds like a very, very similar dilemma. Good afternoon to Richard Saunders Irvin. FPL Kaka says, do you think KDB is worth a punt on free hit, or is he too pricey to take a risk with Pep rotation? Price is irrelevant, my friend, if he's affordable for you on a free hit. But yeah, guess away the Manchester City team on Sunday. Who knows? Who knows? I would think that Guardiola will probably pick the same team that beat Newcastle. But I'm sure he won't. That's part of the problem with it, isn't it? Merza says, hi James, Merry Christmas. Have 11 players, you lucky soul. Only problem, my best captain option is Foden or Cancelo. What are you thinking of Salah to Son and captain him? It's fine. And obviously, I mean, Salah, as I said, is definitely going highly likely to be Son. Although it will take a -8 for me to afford Son and Ronaldo, but it's the way I'm probably beginning to lean. Cancelo is a very reasonable captain at the weekend, in my opinion. Hello to Luke Porteous, thank you, mate. Kermit the Winger, Sky Fantasy Football. James, are you getting rid of Salah and Rafinha? I'm conscious of January the 2nd and the captaincy choices. So what have we got January the 2nd? Let's have a quick look for you. That's Sunday the 2nd. Yeah, I mean, I've got Rafinha at home to Burnley marked on mine as possibly the best option, with Chelsea, Liverpool playing each other. You've also got Brentford v Villa that day, Brighton, Everton, Southampton, Newcastle. Yeah, I've got Rafinha marked down as the best option. With that in mind, he'd stay. For me, to be honest, didn't have any intention of getting rid of Rafinha anyway, because, I mean, Leeds, again, okay, they're postponed, they're unlikely to play Tuesday, but they could suddenly have 3 extra midweek fixtures between game week 21 and game week 22. So, in Sky Fantasy Football, no, I wouldn't sell. Mo Salah, I'm going to give some thought to. Because I think in that format he's probably still the best option on Tuesday the 28th. So it might be that I move him on Wednesday the 29th or Thursday the 30th. I've already got 2 Manchester United players, so in Ronaldo and De Gea in that fantasy football format. So it's less of an urgent for me, and the information could be quite important. So I think I may hold Salah till after the Leicester game and then sell him to someone playing the 29th, 30th. Could even be, for example, that if Everton Newcastle's on 30th, could Dominic Calvert-Lewin possibly straight away. Might even be what I consider. Dan L says, you've made me rethink using the free hit. Haha. If Arsenal is off with 3 players, then I think I will. I'd be down to 7 then. Mankind, hi James, do you think it's worth bringing in Rashford instead of for captaincy over the next 2 weeks? Because I can't get in Ronaldo. I don't fancy Rashford as a captaincy option, personally. He's a player I'd consider. I mean, I have the exact money, actually, to go from Salah to Rashford and Dennis to Ronaldo. The exact money. But I'd have 4 Manchester United players, so that doesn't work, unfortunately. So Rashford is under consideration. I wouldn't put the armband on him, personally. And that's a bit punty when they've got other players who can obviously play up front. It's a bit too punty, in my opinion. And you know that Ronaldo's extremely likely to play on Monday. We know he returned to training, I mean, either yesterday or Wednesday. I think United have given him a bit of a break. So Ronaldo looks a certainty to play. Rashford, not a guarantee. So, I mean, by all means, if you wanted to invest in Rashford, fine, but I wouldn't stick the armband on him. Gavin Doyle says, Happy Christmas, James. What do you do when you've a lot of value tied up in non-playing assets? Salah, TAA, Jota, Dennis, etc. Don't want to sell and lose value, but not worth playing a free hit either. So let's look at this realistically. I've got all 4 of those players. Salah and Dennis are going. I bought Salah at 12.5. I bought Dennis at 5.3, I think. So Salah will take the 12.8 because of his lack of involvement over future weeks. He's obviously going to dip. I don't know how big it will dip. It could dip back down to around about 12.8/12.9 by the time game week 24 comes round. Possibly even more. It's unpredictable. Dennis, we think he's now going to go to the AFCON, right? So you'd have to say, although the Premier League think the fixture against West Ham will be okay, you've now got a position with Dennis where it's kind of similar to Salah. You're looking at blank, West Ham, Tottenham, blank, blank. Then he might be back for West Ham, Brighton, Villa, Man United, Arsenal, which isn't such a great run. So, I mean, he's going for me. Is Emmanuel Dennis so expensive that you can't buy him back? Can't really afford to keep the likes of Dennis and Salah through the AFCON with the way the situation is. So many of you will be listening who have got Salah and Dennis at the moment. Dennis is the most owned forward in FPL at the moment. So I think Salah's not such an easy sell because you may want to still put the armband on him this week. Perhaps people will still want to do it against Chelsea. And are thinking, well, I'm definitely going to want him back in 24. Listen, most of us will want him back in game week 24, but it's over a month away. Over a month. And there's going to be loads of teams with doubles, etc. And Mo Salah frees up the money. Emmanuel Dennis, I could not be holding through that period. Could he be good against West Ham and Tottenham? Yeah, of course he could. But I think there are alternatives, and I'll be selling both players almost definitely. The only way I won't is if I end up with the 5 players or less and end up pulling a free hit, in which case I'll obviously be sitting with both players for game week 20, and in that case, then yeah, I'm probably not selling them immediately. I'm not going to then sell Salah for a rested Liverpool against Leicester, and I probably wouldn't sell Dennis ahead of 2 home fixtures. So, but unless I'm forced in the free hit, they're going. The other 2, TAA and Jota, well, no, I've already discussed. They're kind of captaincy players that you can compete against Salah with. Liverpool, I think, highly likely to have a double now in game week 22, which is going to be attractive. The other fixture is Brentford at home. So, I mean, they could have Brentford at home and Leeds at home as a double in 22. Yes, please. So, no, Trent and Jota going nowhere. The other 2, yes, can go. Shadrach said, taking a hit for Salah to Son, Dennis to Laka. Yeah, it's reasonable. You will want to get rid of Lacazette by the time Tuesday comes around, probably. As will I. J Lord Broski says, hi James, Merry Christmas Eve. In 2 minds whether to free hit or not. I have 11 fit at the moment, but I just feel the free hit would be better used this week as I don't have Ronaldo's son, etc. And don't think it's right to get rid of Mo. Thoughts? Sorry, last message sent too quick. So I think I've covered it to death, haven't I, mate? So for me, that's a definite no free hit. Take a hit to get the players. My opinion is yes, move Mo on. Don't feel right. Listen, selling Mo Salah doesn't feel right. Even with a blank. I completely agree. What's the worst that will happen? Well, the worst that will happen is he does what he did at Old Trafford and goes off mental against Leicester. That's extremely unlikely at Chelsea. Can we cope with it for 1 week out of 5? Yeah, I think we can. Atul says, hey James, lovely seeing you. FPL question, would you sell Antonio to Breuer for free so I can get Sonny next week? Not, well, to cover that first, yeah, but I'll take a hit to get it done and get Sonny in as well, I think. I wouldn't line that up to then wait. I'd get Sonny in as long as the game's on. Obviously, please wait till Sunday. Yeah, I'd get Sonny now, mate. Non-FPL question, how are Barcelona paying 55 million for Torres? Any update on their financial situation? So, no, I've not really had time to look into it, but my understanding is that if they don't sell players, they can't register him. So I don't know. At least that it's an investment from the perspective that, okay, if it doesn't work out, they can probably sell him back and get their money back in a year or two. He's obviously a very talented player. He obviously wants to go and play there. I've seen Barcelona being linked with players like Cavani and Aubameyang going to be on big wages and stuff, and you think, stop that. So at least Ferran Torres is young. That's where they need to invest their money at the moment. So he, again, is a sellable asset in future years if it doesn't work out. But yeah, Barcelona need to sell players. And do not be surprised. Ferran Torres, I don't know if he's going to be fit for January anyway, right? Do not be surprised if teams do what they did to Barcelona in the summer and try and pick out their assets right at the end of the window and keep them sweating on it. Yeah, Barcelona need to sell players. That situation has not changed. Chris Jargo says, compliments of the season, James. If Salah makes the final on February 9th, how many games will he miss? Well, I think he'll be back on the 24th. So, to clarify that position, the African Cup of Nations final is on, I don't think it is Wednesday the 9th. I want to say it's Sunday the 6th is the African Nations final. I'm going to go and check that out because you've got me concerned. I've got it marked down as Sunday the 6th, which even that, yeah. I mean, Liverpool were due to play Leicester on Thursday the 10th and then Burnley on Sunday the 13th. And you'd have to say, I mean, if Egypt did get to the final Sunday the 6th, yeah, any guarantee that he starts against Leicester on Thursday the 10th? No, might be another week without Mo Salah. So, but I am going to check that African Nations date for you because you've got me questioning it. I feel like the African Nations final is on Sunday the 6th, which is the weekend of the FA Cup 4th round matches. African Cup of Nations. I'm not going to edit this bit out of the audio because I ain't got time. African Cup of Nations. Wikipedia's never wrong about things, is it? Let's be honest. Let's have a look. Final is, February the 6th. Sunday, February the 6th. So technically it'd be available for Thursday the 10th. If he goes out anything before the final, I would expect him to play against Leicester on Thursday the 10th. So you're looking at him missing 22 and 23 only. Is what we've regularly said with the African players. For most, it will just be 22 and 23. Mick Summers says, Merry Christmas. Thank you, Mick. Atul says, click the like button. Yeah, much appreciated. If you're on YouTube, smash a like, hit the subscribe button. It's all appreciated. Helps get the Planet FPL word spread to the masses. Stian Bosdale says, Happy Christmas, James. My question is, why are you doing this? You should be halfway down a bowl of eggnog, mate. No. Tonight, mate, there'll be no eggnog. There's talking tactics on chip strategy coming for you on Patreon, mate. Steve Grenwell says, I don't feel panic. I feel paralysis. God. I don't want to take hits to bring players in when those players may not play the following week. What's your mentality here, James? My mentality is to be aggressive, which isn't in the best style of me as an FPL manager. I'm quite conservative. But the aggression towards buying, say, Son and Ronaldo is actually in its own way conservative as well, because it's blocking two players who suddenly could really be harmful to my rank. So getting them in, getting them ready is where I want to go with it, even though it's possibly going to cost me -8 points. That's where I feel with it. Could they be available for the next game? Who knows? We're working on 1 week circumstances, aren't we? It's also hits for players. As I said, it's definitely Salah and Dennis are going to go. it's definitely bringing in players who are definitely, almost definitely going to have a double in game week 22, which might future-wise save me having to use a free hit chip in game week 22. And it's definitely removing 2 players who definitely aren't going to be available in game week 22. So the hit may not pay off straight away, but over the course of the next number of weeks, it really should. FPL Finding Glory says, hi James, listening to your stream was a distraction. My little dog is in the hospital. My partner is doctor working NHS over this weekend. FPL seems trivial, but the distraction or excellent content helps. Brother, you know where my DMs are, mate. Stay well, my friend. Matt Skeeter says, happy holidays, James. Thanks so much for the incredible content. Question is, using first wildcard to try to set up a bench boost in 22. Just too wildly optimistic. Thanks so much. As covered earlier in the stream, I think there is real danger between the game week 22 bench boost strategy. In that you're going to worry as much about the games going ahead as will you get 30 games out of your 15 double game week players. But by all means, you can aim for it. You can go with no Manchester City if you want, and aim for it. Which I mean, look, City play Chelsea in 22 anyway, right? So it's not a bad one to miss with Man City. I've only got Bernardo and Cancelo. I mean, Cancelo, no intention to get rid of. Bernardo can go, and he probably will go for me. But Bernardo could even be the sacrifice for me this week to fund Son and Ronaldo. Actually, he's one who might be on the chopping block for me. So. But it depends how it lands, Matt. I don't know. If you really want to do that, I would target the teams who you would think have to double in 22, and that is obviously Liverpool. So, I mean, you could go Trent, Jota. You could even go Shimikas at the moment and leave the money for Robertson. I don't know who else you'd want. Van Dijk, maybe. Go Trent, Van Dijk and Jota. That's not too much money at the moment if you wanted to do it that way. Van Dijk has been pictured in training. He'll be available for Liverpool on Tuesday, that's for sure. United, you think, will double in 22. Leicester, as I've suggested, have surely got to double in game week 22. West Ham, you would think, are going to have a good double in 22. So those are the teams, and Chelsea probably as well. Those are the teams that you're going to target in. Chelsea's fixtures are bad, though. It's not going to be easy to make it work. Remember, you need to have bench options for the other games as well, right? Not just game week 22. 333 Masters says, hi James, Merry Christmas. When are you cracking out the Camembert for Christmas? No, that's probably not happening, mate. Perlo's Pen says, who do you think will be top FPL scorer the next 3 game weeks? That's a good question. The 2 that come to mind immediately are the 2 we've spoken about so much, Ronaldo and Son. Toss a coin between the 2 of them would be my instinct. It's really close. It's really close. If Ronaldo played all 3 games, he'd get the slight edge, whereas I'm pretty sure Son will play all 3 games. So I'm tempted to say Sonny maybe a little bit, but it's also a little bit dependent on how system Spurs play, and there is a little bit of unknown in that, which I don't like at the moment, not being sure if Tottenham are going to play 3-4-2-1 or 5-3-2, and that may flip depending on game status within games as well. I'll go Son. Adam says, favourite Xmas present you've ever received? A board game called Wembley from Paul Gascoigne and Gary Lineker. Not really, but that's what my mum and dad told me. Adam's Essence says, Salah, Laka, Dennis to Ronaldo, Son, Breuer for -8, or just Salah and Ronaldo to Gallagher, Gray and Ronaldo. I wouldn't buy either of those players. Gallagher could be impacted by what's happened at Palace. Gray's got no fixture. Force Son in with another hit in game week 20. Well, I've looked at that, forcing whichever one I don't go for now between Son and Ronaldo for another hit in game week 20. But I'm leaning much more into the -8. I don't agree with selling Lacazette this week, though. Even though I think there's a small chance that Nketiah could play up front against Norwich rather than Lacazette because of the tight turnaround between the 2 Arsenal games. I may give it some thought, but the idea of selling a forward against Norwich just gives me kittens as part of a hit. So I don't think I can go down that route, and therefore I don't think I can recommend it either. But it is the easy one for me, is to make those exact same transfers. I have looked at it, the exact same 3. Salah, Lacazette and Dennis to Ronaldo, Son, Breuer for -8. I have looked at those exact 3 transfers. I can't promise you that I won't make them. But I think for me to do it, I'll have to have come to the conclusion that I think Nketiah's going to start on Sunday. Connell Irvine says, hi James, are you planning any Champ Man coverage this year? No, not as such. We may look at it a little bit on Patreon. But no, not as such. I'm sure at some point, I think the guys are going to launch at some point in January, aren't they? I'm sure I will be involved with the project that they're doing at some stage. I will be involved. I will be playing. At some point, you'll see my face across the coverage. I'm fairly certain, but regularly, no. Essence says, if my team has 8-9 players at the moment and I could get to double game with 22 with a good team with a few hits, would a free hit this week be reasonable? No. Save it. Save it for something better that's going to crop up. Save it. I mean, the obvious one that people are looking at now is free hit 22, free hit 30. But 30 might not be as bad as everyone's thinking, because some of these postponed games might go into the FA Cup quarter-final weekend, and that's impossible to predict. But remember what happened with Aston Villa Tottenham last year? Those two teams weren't meant to play each other in blank game with 29, and because both were out of the cup and their opponents were still in, it ended up happening. So that's a possibility, that blank game week 30 might not be as bad as kind of only having 4 fixtures. We might have more with the aid of rearrangements. There's going to be other smaller double game weeks. What would happen, for example, if suddenly, let's just say hypothetically that in game week 21, let's say Burnley, Brighton and Leicester suddenly all had treble game weeks in game week 21. Well, I'd be very interested in free hitting into those, because I don't really want those assets in the longer term. So it might even be then. This is why I'm saying that people say, oh, I'm waiting for James to say which chip strategy is. I don't know what it is. I'm very open-minded about it till I know what those double game week fixtures are going to be. I don't think anyone can say with absolute certainty. I know even, obviously, the great Ben Crellin was saying he's probably now going to get forced into a free hit this week. And his original reaction was obviously to look at using it in 22 to be aggressive and use it in game week 30 to cover up. But everybody's circumstance is different, so there isn't a right or wrong at the moment. And I may end up having to free hit this game week as well. So, nah. I disagree, in all honesty. Adam says, cheers for the Walker answer, James, but the official website updated him to 50% chance, apparently lack of match fitness. Oh, okay. I saw that they made him available earlier, and I did let Suj know, but I hadn't heard anything, so I was surprised when they did that. Ludwig says, afternoon, James, is getting Ronaldo and Son from -8 sensible when I can get Son for free transfer and still field 11 players? Yeah. If that's the position you're in, I wouldn't bother with Ronaldo. But I'm sure most of you who are either listening or viewing can see the theme, right? That nearly everybody is targeting Son and Ronaldo at this moment. So bear that in mind. But then in your case, Ludwig, you are looking at a straight -8 for Ronaldo. Is that worth it on 1 week just for Ronaldo? No, I don't think so. I don't think it is. Not win the position when you've got available players. Kermit the Winger says, cheers, boss. Merry Christmas. And to you. Adam says, also cheers for the gay heads up. Blink 3 times if you may have COVID. Mark Gay does not have COVID. But it doesn't mean that he won't miss the game against Tottenham. Daniel says, tips on who to replace up front for my other halves team. She has Dennis and Wood and 4.5 in the bank. God, I mean, the striking options are absolutely terrible. The 2 best striking options for the weekend as it stands are Ronaldo and Kane, aren't they? Kane just feels completely, even I have to admit it, completely unjustifiable for the money. Honestly, I'd buy Breuer. He's likely to play at West Ham. They've got problems defensively at the moment. They've got Newcastle at home in game week 21. They could have a fairly reasonable double in 22 of Wolves away and Brentford at home. I'd buy Breuer. That's where I'd be at. All the others are kind of like, Calvert-Lewin's obviously not playing. Bamford's injured, wouldn't have been playing anyway. Watkins has got Chelsea, and we think Leeds Villa could be off in 20. I'd stop all, anyone's saying to me Pookie and shit. Nah, fuck that shit, right? Leicester have got City and Liverpool, so no on Vardy for now. Nah. Antonio, the rumours on Antonio is, and I genuinely don't know, the rumours are that he might have passed positive for COVID on Monday, which would rule him out of the game on Sunday, but would make him available for the game against Watford in game week 20 if the game goes ahead. But you can't be taking a hit for Mikel Antonio right now unless David Moyes comes out and says, yeah, by the way, he's available and he'll be starting at the weekend. He can't. It's not worth it. Jesus, nah, sod that. So Breuer. Maybe my old YouTube friend's going to shout at me about Neil Maupay. Good fixture this week, Brentford at home. Then it's Chelsea away. Who wants to look at that next? Tony. Brighton away. Okay, that's fine. It's got Man City, Liverpool, and then Man City again in 3 of the next 5. Who wants to look at that? I mean, striking options are terrible. If it wasn't for the postponements right now, I would tell you all to go and buy Gelhardt of Leeds or Archer of Villa or something like that. But so Breuer's the best. Breuer's the best who's going to get regular minutes. Is he nailed? No, he's absolutely not. But that's the one. I think is Breuer. Seamus Hart says, coming out of this COVID mess, I'll have 2 good keepers and a quality bench. Surely this is point towards bench boost in double game week 22. Listen, if you get there and it's sitting perfectly and we've got to a position by mid-January where it looks like games are not going to get postponed, and we, once everybody's been through the kind of circuit of having COVID in their squad, maybe we'll be at that point. I'm not saying, I won't bench boost in double game week 22. Because if I have the confidence that games won't be postponed, and if it lands really nicely for me, then great. What I wouldn't do at the moment is wildcard this week ahead of game week 21 to set up for a bench boost in game week 22. So when I say this week, I'm talking about launching a wildcard on Tuesday after the game week 20 deadline and setting up a bench boost team with a wildcard in 21. I wouldn't do it. If it lands great, and it probably is just naturally going to land brilliant for some people, fantastic. But I use a wildcard set up for it. No, I won't be doing that. Milanda Villain says, do you think Salah and Lacazette Antonio out for Son and Ronaldo is worth -4? Money not an issue, or just Salah to Son for free? Cheers again. I mean, for -4, get it done. The -8 example before where your questionnaire wanted to get Ronaldo in but didn't need the players and it was effective -8 to force Ronaldo in. No. -4, and it's justification. IWTBF, De Gea, Tierney, KDB or Ramsdale, James, Foden, Mount, Mahrez. Well, thanks, mate. You've listed loads of players and you haven't said you want to do with it, but nah. I don't know what you're asking me. So what would you want me to say? That's the players you've got available. Those are the players that you should buy. I'm just going to, because we're going to come towards the end of the stream in a minute, I just want to check before I end that there aren't any news updates over the last hour or so that I can share with you. No, nothing I can say. Someone's putting in the chat about Twitter speculation and stuff, but I've not seen anything. Michael Campbell says Salah out now on Sky. I'm assuming you mean for Sky Fantasy. Kind of covered that, Michael, in the sense that I think I'm probably going to keep for Tuesday and then move on. I think it's probably where I'm at. Although, say Leicester postpone the game against Man City, I'd then be very doubtful about Leicester and Liverpool, for example. And then I would think, well, yeah, I might just move that on quite quickly now, possibly. Merry Christmas to you too, to FPL Penguin. FPL Phenon says I can get both Ronaldo and Son for Salah and Watkins -4. Yeah, great. I think the fact that Watkins is probably not going to play game week 20 and has got Chelsea now probably edges that as okay and acceptable. Liam Preston says Merry Christmas, James. Thinking Salah, Rafinha and King to Son, Martinelli, Ronaldo -8. This gives me 11. What do you think? Yeah, Martinelli could be the one for me that kind of opens the door in the midfield area. Like I said, perhaps Bernardo to Martinelli. And I wouldn't actually need to go that cheap, but it might be where I'd decide to go with it in any case. This gives you 11. What do you think? I think it's fine. It's clear, guys. It's a very repetitive question, which is fine. But so many people are right now looking at the same thing. Don't overthink it is the advice, right? We're all looking at Ronaldo's Son. It'd be sod's law if one of them games gets postponed on Sunday morning, right? Although I suspect Newcastle Man United, if it was to get postponed, we wouldn't hear nothing until Monday, I should imagine. Essen says, was on your differential show and hopped over here because I forgot you were streaming. Thanks so much for the content, James. You're very welcome, mate. Dixie Normad says, James, would you take a hit in week 19 and get 11 players out and go a differential captain like Saka and go extreme differential if it comes off your laughing and up a free hit? I don't intend to use the free hit anyway. Would I consider someone like Saka for the armband? No. I really wouldn't. There's still other good options at other teams. You don't need to do that. Is there any guarantee that Saka even starts at Norwich? I'm concerned about Arsenal players in terms of whether they'll start 19 and 20. And to flip what I just said about Martinelli, that would be my concern with it. Does he play twice inside 48 hours? There has to be a doubt in that. Lamichi says, best midfielder under 8.1 with double game week 22 potential to buy this week. I'm thinking Maddison, Lucas, Trossard, Saka. Lamichi, you're looking at the future and you're not looking at the 3 game weeks beforehand, mate. That's the reality. Maddison has got Manchester City and Liverpool in his next 2. No. Lucas Moura is not an asset. And if anything is possibly going to block you off of, you may want a Kane, Son plus defensive player treble up. Leandro Trossard. What's the best case scenario for his double? Palace at home and what? Manchester United away or Chelsea at home? Great. Brilliant. Love it. I'm so excited. Or Tottenham at home. I mean, Palace at home, Tottenham at home as a double is absolutely fine. I wouldn't get that excited about any of the other 2 combinations. And I think, but Tottenham, I think he's most likely to be against Leicester in game week 22. I think. Saka, similar, right? So game week 21, Arsenal got Man City at home. Then game week 22, they got Tottenham away, and then it's going to be, so if they have a double, it would be Tottenham away and Chelsea away, or Tottenham away and Liverpool at home. Getting a player for the sake of it. Don't worry about it. Honestly, you're better off looking at teams who've got clusters of good fixtures. If you haven't got Jared Bowen's the standout one for me. If you haven't got Jared Bowen, that would be the one. Good fixtures, good potential double. That's the right combination of what you want to be looking for, I think. Or wait a week. Everton might be one that shows up if their game against Newcastle's on. I realise you might not know for certain on Tuesday. I get that. But Jared Bowen would be the one. I'm really pleased he's sitting in my squad. Even if, say, their game got postponed. That's a brilliant little place to be in, I think, Jared Bowen. And actually, honestly, I'd consider people like bringing, say, Ben Rama back to the table even. Or Pablo Fornals. If that's the route you really want to take, Lamichi, I would look specifically at West Ham. Adam says, mate, I'm confused about Gay now. Please give a hint as to why he may not feature if it's not COVID. Close contact, potentially. Michael Ward says, thanks, James. Happy Christmas. Dan L says, thanks for your advice, James. Hope you have a wonderful Christmas. Much love. Neil Cheeseman says, Merry Christmas, James. Thanks very much. Thanks for all your questions. I think I've made it through. I'm not going to cover any more at this stage. That's basically about an hour. Again, I wish you all a very Merry Christmas. The deadline stream on Sunday is penciled in for 12:30 p.m. for the patrons, the advanced and intermediate tier patrons. The team news stream I'm going to delay now till Sunday morning at 11:30 a.m. As long as Tottenham and Crystal Palace goes ahead on Sunday, the deadline stream will be at 12:30 and it will end immediately at the deadline at 1:30, so I can go to Tottenham. If Tottenham's off, then we'll do a Q&A afterwards as well. On Monday, me and Suj will be back reviewing all of the game week 19 action that does happen and obviously moving our thoughts forward to game week 20. There will be no podcast on Tuesday because there is a Tuesday morning FPL deadline. Should Arsenal and Wolves get called off early, we might do something on the Tuesday morning and turn it round very quickly for you, but that's unlikely. Wednesday will be Sky Fantasy Football. Next Thursday, no Clash of the Correspondents for you. It's just too difficult to fit in with a schedule at the moment next week. Instead, Tom Campbell at Utterly TC on Twitter will be presenting our big fat quiz of 2021 instead, which we hope to have a good laugh with. And next Friday, we'll obviously be reviewing all of the game week 20 action for you. So no Ask James stream now until Friday the 7th of January. But might do one on Patreon possibly next week to fill the gap for you guys. If you want to support Planet FPL on Patreon, please visit www.patreon.com/Planet FPL. I can't promise to make you a better FPL manager. I might promise you some league team news every now and again. But do it because you want to support the content. That's the number one reason to become a patron of Planet FPL, if you would like to do so. Our podcast next week will include a Q&A on Monday, Tottenham on Wednesday. Thursday, I might do an Ask James, as I said, possibly for the patrons. And then Friday will be our game week. In fact, it might be 2 podcasts on Monday on Patreon. No, probably be one. We'll probably do game week 20 preview rather than a Q&A this week. So then, yeah, Ask James is a nice fit in probably for the Thursday when I'll cover the Q&A questions on there for you as well. And then Friday we'll have our game week 21 preview. The Talking Tactics video next week will be delayed Antonio Conte, because I'm going to focus on chip strategy for advanced and intermediate tier patrons tonight. But there'll be additional video content Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday next week as well. Other than that, for those I don't speak to between now and then, have a really great Christmas. Don't drink and make transfers at the same time. Leave shit till the hangover on Sunday morning. Be safe, everyone. For the benefit of those on the audio, cue music, please, man, child.